I've encountered two types of people when it comes to musicians. I encounter the type that entirely encompass music all around, and the type that would be, let's say, the all-encompassing variety would be like Mark Mothersbaugh, who just loves sound and music and considers his work to be part of the great soundscape. And then there's other people like Francis Black, who don't really pay much attention to what other people do. I write songs. These are the songs I like, the songs I write. Would you feel that you're in either of those camps?
I do think that I'm very aware of the nature of song and its history. And it's something that I've become more and more interested in over the years. And in fact, right now, I find myself more than ever doing quite a lot of research on very traditional forms of song, not just from the Western part of the world, but all over the world. And I'm very, very interested in why song ever began and what its purpose was. So I definitely see what I do as one part of a long line and a long tradition of storytelling through song and the whole purpose of it. So I'd say I'm much more in that camp of being aware of its role and its importance and what purpose it serves in today's currently today. I feel like I'm learning all the time. In fact, actually just this morning I was at the Traditional Irish Music Archive just down the street looking up as much information as I could find, and I just feel like I'm on this constant journey of learning. I doubt I'll ever feel that I've reached the holy grail of song, but I thoroughly enjoy just exploring and then therefore bringing it back to my own work and trying to feel like I'm gradually understanding more, maybe articulating in a better way what I'm wanting to express through song.
And in terms of, say, a personal resonance, I mean, there's the global soundscape, which has its own life, its own purposes. We'll probably never know the nature of that. But in terms of how music resonates within yourself, I don't know whether you chose it or whether it called you, but how did that happen and how do you feel it sits in your own soul, as it were?
I feel very lucky in knowing that what I'm doing now as a songwriter and a singer is absolutely what I should be doing. I have no doubt about that. But I think it took me quite a while to find that was it. I know that from a very early age, I needed to entertain in some way. And so even as a child, I would want to perform to people. So that's very much a part of what I needed to do. And that gradually became through singing and song. But initially, I was very interested in acting and in it sounds funny, but puppetry. I used to perform with puppets and I would write plays for them to perform. And so I was writing as well. I was writing my own little stage performances that I would act through puppets, or I would act myself as the actor of my scripts that I'd made. And so there was this enormous energy to perform what I had written. And then when I came across a guitar at 16, it all fell into place because there was these words that I'd written. Suddenly I found a voice that I could sing with and a way into my soul, really, which is always what I look for in other people's work, is that little thing that just opens your soul up. And we were talking about music earlier and different artists, but the artist for me that opened that place in my soul, and that was suddenly I found that through song I could sort of access that same area, if that makes any sense.
It's a very, in a sense, public access, isn't it? Because insofar as one can write and play to oneself, you do it in front of scores of people and then scores more on record. And how do you deal with that kind of dichotomy?
I feel like it's important to be honest to expressing human feeling about all manner of things, everything from being at war to being in love. And I believe also that if you express that feeling honestly, then it touches a lot of people because everybody feels those things. And so in some ways it's a very common feeling to be expressing, and so it doesn't feel difficult for me to present that on a stage and hopefully touch people in the way that I like to be moved when I see performances. It's a wonderfully comforting and uniting feeling to share that space of emotion with a lot of people in one room and recognise it in each other, I think.
And touching on the whole notion of live performances, I read somewhere that you were, when you were touring with the band Live, you had said that you were standing off stage, watching them perform and watching the crowd interact with them. And you had mentioned something about the euphoria button and how you would love as a performer to hit the euphoria button and give that sense of euphoria to your audience. Now, that was a quote that was some years old, I'd say. Do you feel you've hit the euphoria button?
I can't remember, using that term before, but I do think euphoria doesn't feel like the right word at all anymore. I do feel that in performance now, and having done it for a long time, in fact, I'd hesitate to use the words performance because that doesn't sound right either, but I do feel that in a room, wanting to convey through song to other people in that room, I have found a way of becoming the song, and I can't describe it better than that, but I feel like I read a wonderful quote from Bob Dylan the other day, and he was saying that all he felt he had to do is to let the songs be there in the room, and in some ways you're just the conduit for letting the songs be in the room, and that's sort of how I feel, because I feel that I become the song to let it be in the room, and then you move on to another song, and then you move on to another song, but it's almost like being the vehicle for the song, because that's the beauty of song as well, or certainly stronger songs that will live on after I've gone. Hopefully, some of them will. And for instance, today, me looking through the traditional Irish music archive, there are songs there hundreds and hundreds of years old that will continue to be around. And so, in some ways, if I can access that point in a live situation of just becoming the song to let it be in the room, then I've achieved something, and I feel that I am able to do that better as I get older, and it's a process of really leaving your ego behind, I think, and just letting the song be there.
As a person who is, on stage, on show, and yet everything I've read about you indicates to me that you're sort of, as an individual, you're a shy person in a sense, and I thought, how do you maintain that? And I suppose it's exactly as you say, you, in fact, become selfless and the song works through you. Would you say that's accurate?
Yes, that's definitely part of it. Well, I feel absolutely driven by needing to do this with my life. I don't know why, it's just there. So I feel it's my purpose really in life to be presenting songs to people and hopefully touching them in some way. And I know that how wonderful it feels to me if I'm touched in some way by some other performer. And I think it's a really wonderful and relevant part of being alive to be able to do that and receive it. And I just feel absolutely that's the thing I should be doing. And I can't think of anything else to say, really.
I could name 30, 40, 50 people with great ease that would give their eye teeth to be sitting where I'm sitting here just talking to you in an empty room. You must have an awareness of this almost the myth of PJ Harvey. Do you find it difficult, or do you find it in a way an honor, or reconciling that notion with your real life, the one that washes dishes and buys groceries and things like that?
No, it's a real honor for me. I think I feel very lucky to have that kind of recognition and respect from people. It just inspires me even more to go about doing my work, my part of it, very seriously and trying to do the best work that I can. And that's become more and more important to me. And I just feel very honoured that people have respect for me and my work. And I just go about my daily life the way I always have. I don't feel that I've had to change my life in any way, and I think I've coming from the part of the country that I did in Dorset as well has kept my feet firmly on the ground, and I think that's been a really good thing, and it's only helped me on my course of exploring my work as well. So
let's talk about White Chalk for a moment. I suppose it's a new angle, your relationship with the piano now. How is it that you have no particular training in the piano or anything from what I understand. You just decided, right, it's piano time now. Tell me about the inspiration. How did that come about?
Well, purely by chance to begin with, because as silly as it sounds, I'd never actually owned a piano, and then I acquired one 3 or 4 years ago. It was needed at home, and gradually got up the courage to start playing on it, and that's slowly then how it developed. I hadn't planned to write a record based upon piano, but I became so excited by this new instrument and what it brought out in me, because obviously it changed entirely the way that I would be inspired, sing, the way that words came. Melodies would leap out of this enormous melodic instrument, which everything's available at your fingertips, and I knew nothing about. So it was almost like reaching around in the dark, which can be a wonderful thing because there are no rules to tie you in. You're just free to go wherever you please.
I suppose in terms of the album, I'd heard that you have had 60 songs for White Chalk, which you distilled down to 11. What's the decision-making process like? How do you make the choice between what goes on the album?
Well, initially it has to be the strength of the song. I look for the strongest songs, and by that I mean songs that would, I call it, stand up on their own 2 feet over there and without and wouldn't need me. So I look for those strong songs, but then also to somehow build songs that are going to work with each other. Because I still think in old-fashioned terms probably now, but of a project of work, maybe 12, 10 songs, something like that. I want them to hang together. I guess in some ways how an artist would think of an exhibition, you hang certain pieces of work together. But then also looking to where my heart is at that time, because, I mean, over the years I've written so many songs, not all of them have seen the light of day. It doesn't mean to say that I don't love those songs, but they just haven't felt it's the right time and place for them yet. And at some point there is for all of them, I think. So I just see where my heart is at, which songs feel like they're ready to come forward.
One thing I would like to find out about, it strikes me that certainly in terms of performance, but not just the performing of the songs, but in your appearance, there's a great deal of precision. You strike me as being a person that really focuses on precision, and it shows in the music, but it also shows in the way that you dress and how you, in videos, how you move. Mm. Could you give us a notion of where that precision comes from?
It always starts with the music, with the song. And I do come from sort of an art school background, so I've always thought very visually as much as musically or lyrically. And a lot of the songs come out of almost visual ideas that I have to begin with. And so they all go hand in hand, really. But it feels quite natural for me to just hear what the music needs. So when the songs are done, I can hear the way they need to be shown visually and the way they need to be performed. And so, yes, it is precise in that, but it comes out of quite an organic way, really, that it always starts with what the music makes me think of visually. But it all goes hand in hand, and sometimes it goes the other way around, that the visuals come first and the song comes out of that.
With that, is there much room for playfulness? Do you ever get playful when you're on stage and just say, okay, I'm going to throw away the script and just go a little off in a little tangent?
Yeah, I do, more and more so. I think maybe with getting older, you can embrace that side of spontaneity a lot more, be less fearful about those sort of things, and certainly the playing on my own at the moment, which is what I'm doing, makes it much more possible to just be in the spur of the moment, do whatever song I feel like doing, or if somebody shouts out they want a song, I might do that if I know how to play it. and yeah, I'm definitely going more that way, and I think and welcoming it, really.
Brilliant. Listen, thank you so much for taking time with me.
Thank you. It's very nice to speak to you.